Hey everybody, Matt with the Low Cash Homestead. So we have our greenhouse basically wired. We wired it in 12 gauge Romax. And now we're going to go through and put in all the switches, outlets, things of that nature. So that's what I'm working on today. Going around and putting in outlets, making splice connections, doing stuff like that. It's Matt with the Low Cash Homestead. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Hey, this is Matt with Low Cash Homestead. You hear that sound? That's the storming rain. I'm kind of trying to wait it out inside the greenhouse. We came out here and did a few chores. We topped up our nutrient and stuff on our little hydroponic lettuce thing. And we put the nutrient cocktail for the carrot drip in the Easy Flow bottle, which I'm pointing at, but you can't see because this camera's pointing at my face. And fed and watered all the birds. And it was drizzling, and now it's pouring. Let's see if we can get some better light. There we go. It was drizzling, and now it's pouring. So we'll deal with that. I guess I'm just stand here and wait for a minute. Hey, have a good day. Okay, we braved it out. It slowed down for a minute. On the opposite end of that, it's like 62 degrees in January right now. Missouri's like that, though. I'm still waiting for that hard cold that's going to cause me a problem. Well, we had one earlier, but next one's probably going to be end of the month or near February where it gets nasty. Actually, the next 2 days is supposed to be like low 40s with snow and rain. It's Missouri. Okay, hey, have a great day. Hey everybody, Matt with the Low Cash Homestead. It's been raining nonstop for like 3 days now. We've gotten so much rain. This black tank right here is my little sump for the hydroponic stuff inside the high tunnel. And this doesn't have a leak in it or anything. I checked it out. But there's the groundwater. So the water is holding ground. Let me rephrase that. The ground is holding water just like 6 inches below the soil line. It's pretty intense. This is Matt with the Low Cash Homestead. Thank you very much. Have a good day. So what we're looking at here is evidence of a whole grain diet. Whole grains, whole seeds. That's what we see right here. This is where there's always a little bit when I toss the feed into the chicken tractors that kind of scatters because they jump and flap their wings and do all kinds of goofy things. And you can see right here, sunflower right there. We got little bits of oat and all kinds of things coming up in here. I'm just going to leave those. I'm going to let them grow, and then later on I'll pluck them out and feed them to the chickens. No big deal. It's Matt with Low Cash Homestead. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Good morning, everybody. This is Matt with Low Cash Homestead. It's a cold one. It's 28 degrees or something. We are inside of the cheapo greenhouse, which is inside of our commercial grow span. Oh yeah, it snowed and iced last night. So it's actually even cooler in the high tunnel than it is inside the cheapo greenhouse. Let's talk about why. Well, we have our tropicals in here. We have a pineapple, and we have our dragon fruits. This dragon fruit is growing quite well. It's put off a couple other nodes. This one here, this node's getting large. You can see there, that's putting out another node. Root hairs are growing all over the place. So they're doing good. I was uncertain about whether or not I'd be able to keep them alive. But let's talk about what we've got inside the cheapo greenhouse. Inside the cheapo greenhouse, we have our propagation tables. The propagation tables are built from recycled heat mat hot box. The heat mat hot box worked. It worked so well that it was melting my trays, and no matter how much, I couldn't flush enough air through it with the equipment that I had. So I repurposed the bottoms. I repurposed the Insafoam, the polyiso. You don't want to use polystyrene. You want to use polyiso. preferably with a foil backing on it. We added some legs. These legs are actually from the pallets that the commercial high tunnel came on. We broke those down and we cut the legs out of it. So we got two different systems going on here. First, I'm going to show you the control system. This is a control panel that I built. And so we have a couple of outlets, and this is just built on a piece of scrap 3/4 plywood. Okay, it's hard for me to get, let me get way back. So we have a couple outlets, they come in, then we go to our K control, and the K control controls the on and off functions of this outlet, which then operates this little, I'm not thinking of the word for it. It's a resistor. That's it. It's a resistor coil heater. It's got a little fan on it, you know, just a little industrial piece of crap, 1500 watt heater. You know, the kind of costs you about 20 bucks. And then we have our VivoSuns controllers that control the heat mats. They can control up to 1,000 watts per controller. So when the ambient air temperature is warm enough, and this K control operates within like 2 degrees. So when the ambient air temperature is warm enough, it will kick this heater off, and then the VivoSuns control either the heat mats, and again, the heat mats, excuse me. Again, we're using John's Manville. This is poly ISO. It's foil backed. Poly ISO can take the heat. Do not use EPS. That's your white expanded poly. And do not use extruded poly, because the extruded poly is a little bit different and it can off gas. But the poly ISO is perfect for this, and this is a year old. This poly ISO is about a year old. So in this one, we use the VivoSun thermostat, and I actually have 3 of these, and I think I'm going to put the third one down here. I wanted to get all this built before I started filling seed trays. And yes, don't think me crazy for wanting to fill and start planting seed trays, because I went into the store the other day to get a few things, and they put seeds out. So, you know, don't think me crazy, guys. It's totally fine. These heat mats still work. I did use them last season. I plugged them in and checked them and everything, and they work fine. So it's going to be 2 heat mats per box, and then I have a third, which I will probably end up putting on a piece of poly ISO on the ground or something. And I'm doing it in the cheapo greenhouse so we can go as close to natural light as possible. Kitty, I love you, but you're killing me. I'm going to fall if you keep walking on my feet. This design here, I actually borrowed this design from, I believe it was Spring Hill Farm. They're a Canadian farm. And one of the things that they do for their propagation tables is they ran ice melt cable. And now the ice melt cable they use is a little different. It was like a solid metal, but this is what we have available to us. And like all the places I looked, I ended up getting this at Menards. So this is gutter icing cable connected to our VivoSun thermostat. This holds 60 feet of cable. Kitty, you're getting on my nerves. I love my kitties, but woo! This particular cable is 300 watts. It's you know, nothing. It pulls like 1.5 amps or something according to the package. Now, what's in here is hydroton. It's not the best choice for this, but you can see there's some pea gravel and stuff in here. I reclaimed this out of a hydroponic system that I had inside, which worked, but not exactly the way that I wanted it to, so we just dismantled it and recycled its components. The hydroton is not the best application for this, because hydroton by its nature is expanded clay pebbles. It's filled with a lot of air. What we need is pea gravel, and I just haven't been able to get to town recently to pick some up. I'll need about 4 bags based on the volume of this. If you figure that a bag is 3/4 to 1 cubic foot, depending on which kind of bag you get, where you get it, who the supplier, all that stuff. There's various, but they usually 3/4 to 1 cubic foot. So I would need about 4 bags. So we're looking at probably about $18 to $20 to fill this up with pea gravel. But it was 30-something yesterday, and you can feel the heat on the cable, and on the thermostat here, we're at 61.7. So I'm expecting this is going to take some time. and I have it set for, I think, 73 degrees as the soil temperature that I want to reach for most of the things that we're going to germinate. I'm not too worried about germinating cold season stuff. I can do that out there. I'm not going to fill seed trays with cold season stuff. I've got most of my cold season stuff planted. Well, that's not entirely true, but what I'm saying is I have test beds of my cold season stuff going. The garlics and elephant garlics are doing fantastic. The carrots are doing great. This true baby carrot, this Adelaide carrot, is coming up nicely, a little bit slow because it's a little colder than it likes to grow, but they are coming up nice. And these Danvers half longs, and I'm going to pull the soil away on one of these bad boys, and you can see that that is just turning out to be a fat carrot. So I don't pluck them up too much, but I'm going to grow these out until they're the size that I want them. Parsnips can take a long time to germinate anyway. This is pelletized coated seed, but we got all kinds of little parsnips coming up in here. And my understanding from the literature that I've read and the conversation I had with the seed supplier, which is Johnny's, that these parsnips actually will do better, that will taste better if they go through a few freeze-thaw cycles. So in this area here, it's definitely quite a bit colder. We're going to walk over to the thermometer here, and we're going to find out how warm it actually is inside the high tunnel. Okay, so inside the high tunnel, we are looking at, I can see that, but I don't know if you guys are going to see it on the camera, that little red, 42 degrees Fahrenheit. It's about 28 degrees outside. We had some Jerusalem artichokes that I got just as starters. So I actually bartered them for a tray of microgreens. Hi, kitty. And so we took this carrot box and put the Jerusalem artichokes in there. And again, that's just to propagate tubers so that I can keep expanding those out. Another thing is we have the wiring in here basically done. We have our fans connected. We have our controllers connected. We have electricity for the pump systems connected. And, you know, so overall infrastructure in here is shaping up. We're looking into some 4-inch strip tape. I want to switch carrots to a 4-inch strip tape, and we're going to need some more boxes for that. I've grown carrots in the ground, and man, that is a nightmare. Growing carrots in the ground, it's rough. They're hard to thin. They get overrun with weeds super easy. So I would much rather mix up my special carrot blend. You know, I got the base carrot recipe from Bumblebee Junction, and I tinkered with it from there to get what works good for me. And let's see, let me think for a minute here. We moved the chicken tractors this morning. We also have our, let's drop over here. We have the base beds. This is going to be a hydroponic system. We're going to grow Sylvia and some other things in here. I've got lots of different lettuces that we're going to grow. I put these vertical planters up, and yes, so far the spinach is working in those. I think these might be an option. We're going to do. We have 3 of them. They're all planted with the same planting mix, same spinach, same supplier, same seed, everything. They get the same amount of water. And, well, within how long, you know, I haven't put a timer on it or anything, but it's within, you know, how long does it take me to wave a wand across the thing? And I do that to all 3 of them because these hold water really well with the mix that's in there, and they're felt, so they soak up and they retain it. And at these temperatures, they seem to be doing pretty well. So that's our test experiment. We're going to find out how big of a spinach or how well the spinach is going to grow vertically in these little pockets. We have the power supplies put up there for our pump stations. This one is still running on that cord simply because I need to get a watertight connection to connect here that can get me down into there. These are going to be hydroponics beds, and we're thinking we're going to build a shelf here that's going to contain our air pumps and everything like that. I'm not doing craft key method. And we got our EPS foam, and I got a foil back to EPS, and so I'm trying to decide if the foil is going to go up or down. with the foil up, I can reflect that light, and with the foil down, I can probably preserve some algal growth on the, or prevent, I should say, some algal growth on the EPS. Hey, I got a finch in here again. Where'd he go? There he is. Okay, I get finches in here constantly. So let's look at these doors down here. This is a grow span tunnel. I got it from Tech Supply. And the only real issue that I've had with it is this, and that is it uses these poly ropes, this thin poly rope on these machinery doors. And we've had some pretty severe wind and snow and ice and stuff. For this area, it's been pretty severe. We don't usually, but this is Missouri. Missouri is the, you know, pick a card, any card of weather in the wintertime. So maybe on this end, I don't use this door nearly as much. Maybe on this end, we will replace that with some nylon rope. It has me a little bit concerned because the Caterpillar tunnel from Farmer's Friend also uses poly rope. Another thing I want to talk to you about is your fertilizing, and I kind of do things a little bit differently. I use the Jobs. This is a 253, so it's pretty low nitrogen. That's good. I use the Jobs Organic in the ground to give everything just like a healthy start, because the Jobs Organic has mycorrhizal fungi and bacteria and all that good stuff in it. Hi, kitty. I love you so much. I love you. You're going to climb on me right now, kitty cat. Mixie kitty. But what I wanted to talk to you about was this auto-dosing bottle. This is an Easy Flow bottle. I got mine from, I don't remember if I got Tech Supply or Amazon, but I did notice that I got a catalog for Morgan County Seeds. They have some irrigation stuff that I'm interested in. I mentioned that I wanted to use 4-inch strip tape, and you know, that's 4-inch strip tape's readily available in many thousands of feet. I don't need that much. 1,000 feet would last me, you know, quite a while. I'm still working on this 1,000-foot roll of 12-inch tape, and I've had this for like 6 years. But this Easy Flow bottle, Morgan County Seeds also has the Easy Flow bottle. They also have the, I can't think of it, Chapin is the competitor to the Easy Flow. They also have their systems. But this Easy Flow bottle is really great, and it's been doing wonders on these root crops as far as feeding them. So I do that once a week, and I'm using this CNS 17. Your root crops usually don't need a lot of nitrogen. Maybe potatoes do, but your carrots and your garlics and your parsnips and things like that, those are all low nitrogen. So I use this CNS 17. This is by Bondicare. This is a 154. And so what I'll do is I'll use that, and I'll use a little bit of Super Thrive, and once a month I'll use a little bit of fish emulsion, and that's simply because that fish emulsion is a 511, and these crops don't need that much nitrogen. So the way that I do this is, and it'll tell you on the back of the bottle your dosing requirements in milliliters, and then there's a little conversion table that allows you to convert that into your American measurements. So this is a tablespoon right here. It came in a Miracle-Gro package. I am using Miracle-Gro on non-edible things like the lawn, where we had our lawn destroyed by the new septic. We had to put a new lawn in, and you know, that's a work in progress, but I'll use a proportioner valve, which is a suction proportioner, and some Miracle-Gro on the lawn. But let's talk about this. So I use, you know, for this bottle, I'll use 2 tablespoons of the CNS 17 for the bottle, and then every 30 days I'll use 1 teaspoon, which has another line in there. Kitty, I love you, but you need to get off me. 1 teaspoon of the Super Thrive along with the fish emulsion. And that has done wonders on those Danvers carrots. They are growing larger and longer than they have in the past. And even with that tiny little bit of nitrogen, look at the tops on these things. They're not huge, but they also have grown, you know, quite a bit. And when I repurposed this box for carrots, I didn't even take the other stuff out. I pulled it out later as it died off and turned into, you know, this. And this was Kentucky Climbers. And I love me some Kentucky Climbers, and I have most of my seed stocks for the next season already purchased, which we did actually a couple months ago, and I got a lot of them from Johnny's. I got a few of them from, I can't remember the place, the Tumbling Tom tomatoes I had a hard time finding. And then I can't remember where I got them from. I'll have to let you know where I got them from later, if I still have the tickets for them. I prefer email receipts, but they sent a ticket, which is fine. So anyway, but that fertilizer system, it works really, really fantastic on your root crops, and I am definitely liking this industrial grade fertilizer when it comes to what it's doing on my root crops. That CNS 17 has your 3 macronutrients, and then it also has 17 of your micronutrients. So although we amend the soil, and I put the Jobs in there, and I do the Epsom salt, and the CalMag, and all that, we're also supplying it a heavy concentrated feeding once a week to really soak down through there and give it that root growth. And I only do it once a week because with root crops, you don't want all your nutrient up at the top because it has no incentive to grow down, especially with carrots and parsnips. So you kind of want that nutrient to run through, so it has that incentive to grow down and produce that long fat carrot that you're looking for. This is really, I run this at the same 20 psi that I run all the drip tape at. This is just a little Rainbird. There are better regulators. This one was on Amazon. It was cheap, couple bucks. I don't remember exactly. I'm gonna say less than 20. And that's how we do it. So there are many things about farming and gardening and food production that I'm still learning, but this system, man, I really got to say that I like it. One thing we plan on doing, and we're not going to do yet because, well, I have to wait, and I'm capital, is we plan on building a dedicated water system back here, which will give me a set of control valves that would allow me to control, run 1, run 2, run 3, run 4, run 5, etc. And then, as I mentioned before, on each bed, I've added these gate valves, so I can either open or isolate each bed within each run. So we want to build a irrigation control up there that will allow us to control each run of boxes, and then either isolate or open each box within that run. What you see here is a bunch of buckets we have lined up for a Dutch bucket system, which should drain back into this same little tank here. And if I've figured everything out right, that 27 gallons should be enough to run all the hydroponic systems. Now these won't have water pumped in and out of them. These will have aerated water, but the nutrient solution will stay in the box. It's not going to be pumped in and out. This is Matt with Low Cash Homestead. I'm just kind of showing you around on what we've managed to get done over the winter and what we're growing over the winter and how we're updating and building more infrastructure inside the grow span. We built this system, and I got to say, man, I really love this system. And tunnel, making these all a tunnel, is a fantastic process for harvesting. I can just walk in, harvest, move to the next tunnel, harvest, and then harvest down the outsides of the boxes. And this system also, I still got some tomato vines in here. I need to take a torch or something and burn these things out. I ran out of T-posts on these last 3, which is why they wobble around. But for climbing beans and stuff, it's no big deal. And then you can see where I've woven, like here's a tomato vine right here. I don't really mess with them a whole lot. I just weave the vine into the cattle panel. I don't tie it. I might clip it depending on if it's, like down here where it's low when they're just getting started. I'll put these little clips on them, and then as they grow, I just weave the plant through the cattle panel and just don't really mess with it. Okay, I also have some equipment in here that, I needed that tiller to break that hard ground over there when we put those boxes in, and do some other stuff. So yeah, I got a lot of work to do in here, but we are updating and building the infrastructure through the winter, as well as growing some stuff and getting stuff ready for market season. I want to have I'm being rather ambitious as to what I think I can get producing by the time markets open first week of May.